allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, would you mind praying?
Please do it. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts, and we thank you for the blessings that you have given us. And in light of this chaos and this pandemic and all the things that we are dealing with and everyone is dealing with, we can still come to you and thank you for our blessings, because we have many blessings. So Lord, we ask that you, with your divine wisdom, lead us and guide us to make the decisions that are best for this community. We ask all of this in thy heavenly precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Okay, we'd like to open our meeting, March 24th meeting of the Scioto County Commissioners. Would someone like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes of March 19th?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter request for appropriation of funds.
Any questions or comments in regards to item 2? Hearing none.
I will make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Ms. Coleman. Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of notification from Ohio Department of Taxation regarding permissive sales tax.
Are there any questions or comments in regards to item 3? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter request for appropriation transfer of funds.
Questions or comments in regards to item 4? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting miscellaneous notices of reduction in services and closures.
Questions or comments in regards to item 5? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter request for fund transfer.
Any questions or comments in regards to item 6? Hearing none.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of Child Support Enforcement Agency 4D contract with Domestic Relations Court.
Questions or comments in regards to item 7? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I will second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of approving payment of the regular scheduled accounts for the various funds, moral obligations, and the then and now certificates in the total amount of $312,456.67.
Questions or comments in regards to the docket? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution temporarily changing the meeting days for the Scioto County Commissioners.
Questions or comments in regards to item 9? Hearing none.
Motion to adopt.
I will second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting an amended certificate from the Budget Commission.
Questions or comments in regards to item 10? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to accept the Budget Commission amended certificate.
Second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting board minutes.
Questions or comments in regards to item 11? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Crabtree.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye. Mrs. Coleman, would you have anything additional today?
I have nothing at this time, sir.
Mr. Crabtree?
I have nothing. You might want to comment on item 3 there.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and do this. We'll comment on several things and try to help the press out today. As everybody will see, we've got a little bit different setup. And the reason that is because of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and the recommendations made by our governor and health director for the state of Ohio, we have limited the access to our meetings to where the public is not here, nor is the press, but everyone is able to listen via social media, and we are going to look to expand that as well to other avenues to get the information out. This was something that the Attorney General, because of the crisis that we're in, said that we were able to do so we don't expose people needlessly to each other. So, with that in mind, on the sales tax revenue, which is always a major interesting topic for the press to ask about, for January 2020, and we need to keep in mind this is for January, so a lot of the impact that's happened recently will not be felt until around March for the county as well as for municipalities, the state. Governor DeWine had mentioned yesterday about he's requesting a 20% cut at the state level, which is pretty steep for departments and things like that. So those things are proactive moves and something that we will probably we are looking at now. But January 2020, sales local was 783, 906.31. Sales actual were 391, 948.91 for a total of $1,175,855.22, which is an increase of $116,058.09 from January of 2019. So in January, the economy was doing well. We're up over $250,000 for the year. That is good news. With that said, Mr. Crabtree, do you have anything you'd like to add to that at this time?
Just that increase is kind of consistent with what we've seen with the online sales tax, online purchases. We were expecting to see a bump of about 2/3 of what we lost on the MCO thing. So that would be consistent with that. I think we'll probably notice about the same thing in February. March could be negatively affected, and we don't know what the number will be for the March, but we're always running a couple months behind.
Right. Ms. Coleman.
The only comments is that we're prepared for this and we'll act accordingly as the numbers come in.
One thing a lot of people may be interested in knowing also, and we've discussed this some, is in regards to what is taxable. And some would say, well, my goodness, people are going out and buying food and they're spending a lot of money. Well, in the state of Ohio, food is not taxable. Even toilet paper isn't taxable, which is a lot of people would be surprised to know. A lot of paper products are not. So while that's good on average that those things are not taxed, even takeout food is not taxed. So dine-in food is, but not takeout. So we know that everything's takeout right now. So we'll see now that we also know that there's a lot of people buying things online, as Mike mentioned, so that'll help. But before everybody gets excited about what is being spent locally, for obvious reasons and for good reasons, that there is it won't help per se. Let's put it that way. People have to take care of themselves right now, and that's what needs to be done. All right. I will go ahead and comment on item 7 to save the press some time. They always ask on that. And by the way, Brian is monitoring our Facebook page for the press and for public comments, and we'll be covering those here in just a second. On number 7, it was in regards to Child Support Enforcement Agency, or the CSEA 4D contract with Domestic Relations Court for magistrate services, support staff, and related costs related to CSEA cases, effective February 1st, 2020 through January 31st, 2021. And that child support contract is worth in the amount of $256,972.71. Also on item 9, we feel it's necessary that we make some changes around here as well. As many know, the Board of County Commissioners meet more often than any government body here in our area. And we do that because we like to keep the business of the people moving. We do have to meet at least once a week. We always meet twice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But in order to limit the exposure to our staff, the exposure to the public as well as ourselves, we are going to amend that today. We did vote on a resolution to change that at the beginning of the year during our organizational meeting. We always vote on the days that we'll meet, the hours that we meet, and we're going to be changing that slightly today. The Board of Commissioners of DeSoto County, Ohio are of the opinion that to protect public health and to maintain the essential county functions of DeSoto County, Ohio, it is imperative to temporarily modify the current meeting schedule of the Board of Commissioners of DeSoto County, Ohio. The board temporarily amends its previous resolution establishing the weekly scheduled meetings to one meeting per week to be held only on Tuesday each week unless the Monday prior to the Tuesday meeting is a national holiday. Said meetings will begin at 9:30 a.m. The meetings will be conducted via Facebook Live. No public or news media will be permitted to attend said meetings in person. The public and media may participate and ask questions in said meetings via Facebook Live. This modification of the meeting schedule shall remain in effect until April the 6th, 2020, or until the Ohio Governor, Mike DeWine, rescinds the declaration of a state of emergency. Said modified meeting schedule will be reviewed on or about April the 6th, 2020, and may be amended to a later date. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
No? Okay. All right. Members of the press.
I still don't have any comments.
We did that well. Probably, those are probably the big ones, to give them a little bit extra time. Mrs. Coleman, could you maybe comment about the dog shelter? We heard a rumor about the dog
yes.
shelter.
Yes, there was a post, and there was a woman who had heard that the dog pound or shelter was closing, and the fact is it's not closing. The public will be able to still come in, but it's by appointment only. And this is to lessen the exposure to the virus, and we are also following the state's guidelines by doing this. So we're still open. The lady who made the post she was making every effort to get people to adopt dogs that are still there, which is a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just so appreciative of her efforts to do this. And right away, there were people, questioning how much the adoption fees are and how to go about it. So I urge you, even though it's not closing, if you can and you would like to adopt a pet, please make a phone call to our dog warden, and he will set this up for you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. In addition to our meeting day change, we would like to also let everybody know that our office hours, while they have not changed, our office access has changed. The office will remain open for business via telephone or fax as listed above, and there is a notice here. And then there's also some email. We will put this out on Facebook so everybody sees it, so that everybody will understand and have the phone number if you need to do business in the commissioner's office. We apologize at this time that we're going to have to limit public access to the no public access to the commissioner's office for the protection of the workers as well as the public in general. And we'll get back to normal as soon as we can, but until everything has gone back to normal, I guess, we're going to have to institute this. And our people are still working, and they're still taking phone calls, and they're still taking your emails. But at this time, we need the public to please refrain from coming to the courthouse on official, unless it's official business with other offices. But at this time, public access is not going to be permitted to the commissioner's office. But we will do everything we can to help you. Feel free to reach out to your commissioners with questions or comments, and we will do everything that we can to help you at this time. Any questions? Brian is not used to have to do this. Brian's going to go to the microphone so everybody can hear the question.
This is not where I like to be, but we do have one question. I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly. From Sin Mackley.
Okay, yeah.
What would you say to residents who are feeling uncertain right now?
What would we say to residents that are feeling uncertain right now? Well, it really, we want to say this. I'll say this, and then, of course, you all, I'm sure, will have something that you want to add. Stay calm. Stay calm is the most important thing to do. We are dealing with an unprecedented situation. The good news is we have not had any confirmed cases in Scioto County. But I also want people to understand is please don't take that as a license to go about your day, your average day, just as you normally would. Just because we don't have confirmed cases here doesn't mean we don't have cases here. In reality, more than likely, and these are comments that have come from health professionals and our own emergency management agency. More than likely, we already have cases in Scioto County. We don't say that to alarm people. We say that to prepare people and to arm people with that knowledge that we can't go about our daily lives as we would want to freely right now, because they are recommending people that know a lot more than we do about the situation or is telling us that we need to limit our exposure to others. It's called social distancing. It's been proven to work. There's a process here. And there's recommendations being made by our health director, state of Ohio, our governor, others locally, our health commissioners, our hospitals, that are telling us exactly what we need to do. So with that, we should have great hope and great faith in that there is a plan. And I will tell you this, our health professionals, our hospitals, everybody are working very hard to prepare for the possibility of something happening here. There have been people tested. So far, all those tests have come back negative. But because of the limit of availability of tests, that more than likely there is someone or someone's out there that do have it. Most of those cases are minor. 80% have been proven to be minor throughout this entire pandemic. So we're asking people to do as the officials are asking. Put your trust in God. Put your trust in your faith, whatever that may be. And believe that good things are in the future. Look to the future. Look to hope. And we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this because I've seen a lot of good people working really hard locally to make sure we're prepared. The grocery stores are going to be full again. Things are going to be resupplied. It's already happening. And we're going to get back to normal days here before long. But right now it's not the time to worry. Now is the time to stay calm. And as a community, as we always have, we've gone through hard times before. The important thing to understand in hard times, we've been through hard times. And we're going to get through this. Mike?
I have nothing.
Okay. Kathy?
Well, the only thing I would add is to let you know that sometimes, you're watching the meetings and you're watching us here. We are just like you, each and every one of you. We're in this together. I do want to touch on a topic, and that's a declaration of emergency for the state of, or for the county of Scioto County. Sometimes, and if this happens, I don't want anyone to panic or think, you know, that it's a worse situation, because sometimes these things have to be put in place to apply for federal funding. That's not the case now, but some counties are issuing a declaration of emergency. We've been listening to the opinions of those that are in higher positions, and we're just taking it day by day to see how we're going to deal with this. But please do not panic if this is something that has to be done. Of course, you know, continue to follow the guidelines from the governor. The state of emergency is already in place by him. So just to give you a little warning, if this happens, please do not feel that it is another reason to be more fearful or panic in any way.
Very good, very good. Anything else?
There are no other questions, but there are more comments if you want me to read those.
That would be fine. That's hard to do, you know, we don't really get to do that very often, but it's good to hear what people are thinking. Really, I think it's important during this time. So go right ahead.
First of all, Mr. Daryl Keller said he's here for any questions.
Okay.
So if you guys would have any questions for him, you can.
Mr. Keller is our dog shelter director, so if anybody has any questions, you can call the dog shelter and ask questions on what that process is to continue on with the adoptions and caring for the animals.
Mr. Rick Kelly suggests that you should start taxing toilet paper and food whenever they get it to go as well.
That's a legislature type item. We really can as commissioners, and that is one that's above us, but understand what he's saying.
Miss Rose Mowery says good morning.
Good morning, Rose. Rose is instrumental. If anybody's wondering, Rose is wonderful. She heads up the children's home, all of the activities that those that were part of the Hillcrest Children's Home. She does all of that and was able to get the historical marker put up that we worked with her on.
Miss Barbara Bennett says she is listening and praying for everyone.
Very nice. Thank you, Barbara.
Mr. Jason Schultz says that he feels that there are probably already some unconfirmed cases that have slipped through the cracks. Miss Danielle Parker says good morning to the commissioners.
Good morning.
Danielle's our assistant prosecutor in the prosecutor's office, listening in remotely this morning, right across the street.
And we miss her.
Yes, she's always here.
Okay, we have another question now.
Okay.
They're coming in live. Mr. Adam Black asks, what would you say about the community, the people in the community who are making masks, volunteering to serve children lunches, and helping out during these times?
Adam, I believe, is the editor for the Portsmouth Daily Times, if I'm not mistaken. I'm hoping I'm right about that. I'm trying to remember. But what would we say? Wow, heroes. That's all I can think of. I'm seeing all of these posts. I'm seeing so many people that are stepping up and doing whatever they feel they can. You know, seamstresses, that's an art that's been lost. But boy, there's some out there working real hard to make masks. And I've heard of some companies that may be retooled to help the cause and do what they can do. But these individuals that are doing that, it's amazing. I know some of the hospitals, they're taking matters into their own hands, making PPE, which is the personal protective equipment. You're going to hear a lot about that in the coming days. That's something in the governor's press conference they mentioned yesterday. about the need for PPE. We're starting to get that into our area now. There is a major shortage. Our EMA units and all of them need the EMS, EMTs, they all need this, and they're going to slowly get it. But in the meantime, these individuals are stepping up, and it very much is a Herculean effort. They're doing everything they can to help all of our first responders and to make sure that they're safe. And all I can say is thank you, heroes. Thank you so much. Mike?
Well, I kind of agree with what Brian said. A lot of times people that do those things, they're very generous with what they do. It takes a special person to go out and try to make sure all those children get fed, and they don't get enough pats on the back for that. It's been kind of an unusual few weeks now. Something that we've not seen in the past. I've been here a lot of years, and I've never seen anything quite this extreme. But we're all going to make it through all this, and it's going to be okay. And within a few weeks, I think, from what I'm hearing, it's going to get better. So that's what we've got to look forward to. And I think the best thing people can do is relax, enjoy this time to spend with their family, and just stay at home and be safe.
That's good.
What I have seen, and it just lifts my heart, is that in the worst times, in the worst possible times, people come together and help one another, and it just shows us, just how good people are. And I've noticed the silence of the division on Capitol Hill, and it's just, I think, why can't it be like this all the time? Why can't we, go about our day to day with our first intention and our first thought is joining together and making things better for this country and for all of us. And so I would just pray that at the end of this, that we can proceed with this state of mind, and that just give everyone a pat on the back, and it's just overwhelming to me to see all these efforts, and no one asks anyone to do it. They do it from their heart and their a need to help another. And if you I ask that you do this in your own life. If there's elderly or people that are not as healthy in your community, just check on them. And I don't need to tell you that because you're doing it already. But I'm just overwhelmed by what everyone's doing, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
What they're doing with the children, as far as what they're doing to feed them. There are hundreds and hundreds of people working in our community right now. They got up early this morning. They prepared meals. They started on those routes to feed those children, and what the public can do that maybe not be involved in that, they're not involved in that directly, but if you see a child that you think may not be receiving those services, reach out, let us know. We'll get that information to the ones that can do the feeding programs. If you're curious about what those routes are, what schools are participating, what they're doing specifically, you can find that information on our Facebook page. It's available, Scioto County Commissioners, and if you scroll down, you'll find that information. We're feeding information literally all day long as we get it in. And so please, you may have to scroll down through and find it, but you'll find about where those feeding locations are, those drop-off points are, the times of those drop-off points. We have bus drivers driving. We have school personnel working so hard to make sure our children are taken care of right now. But also there's places where children can go and get a meal. There's several organizations doing that, food pantries that are providing food And then all the people that are supplying those food pantries. Those are people like us, everybody that's putting products on those shelves to help people that are doing without right now. And then also, I will say this too, if you have questions in regards to unemployment, there's been a lot of people, and we've talked about this, the concern we have is so many, especially this has been a trickle effect, but with the non-essential order that came down, there was a lot of businesses closed at that point. Unemployment claims are skyrocketing, and the website is very high, or very slow, if not bombing out altogether. Please continue to try. They're trying to resolve those issues, but all of those addresses, all those email addresses, all those phone numbers can be found on our Facebook page as well. For those who would want to get in and start that process, we recommend you do it right away. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. You need to get in there and start that conversation with the Department of Unemployment, Bureau of Unemployment, as soon as possible. And Job and Family Services the same way. Their contact information is there as well. So if you need benefits, even if you don't know what you need, feel free to call them. You're in a situation where you have no income coming in, feel free to call them. They will steer you through that process, and they are very good to do so. Anything else?
Their lobby is closed now. It has been open till right up
Yes.
to the last minute. So there are numbers, I believe, on the door, and I posted on our website. So
Commissioner Coleman made a good point there about the lobby being closed, and we actually did our best working with the director to keep it open as long as we could, to give people an opportunity, especially those that are affected by the lack of broadband access, to get in there and be able to have that conversation. But at some point we had to limit that, and we did that effective yesterday. So you can still reach them via phone, and also you can reach them via the internet as well. Yes, Brian?
There's one more question that's come in so far. Mr., and again, I apologize for pronunciation, Manan Bavzar.
Okay.
What about convenience stores with drive-throughs? Would you want them to keep just the drive-through open for their customers?
Well, I'll say this. I know food locations and convenience stores typically are food locations. To my knowledge, are remaining open. That is not our call. That's the Department of Health at the state level that would make that decision. So I'm really not going to weigh in because I don't know how you feel. I'm thinking right now that they are open. So I hadn't heard anything different.
There are a few other comments. I'm going to paraphrase.
Okay.
And I apologize for that just because to keep it as civil as possible.
Okay.
Miss Karen Justice feels that, I'm not sure if the commission or just in general, things were not taken seriously enough a couple weeks ago, and we would be better off if everyone had listened to the governor instead of blaming him.
Okay.
That's the gist of what I'm getting from her comments.
Okay.
I don't know if you'd like to address that.
I don't think anyone, if she was directing that at the Board of Commissioners here, I don't think anyone was blaming him. We've worked diligently to comply with every directive from the beginning, from even before he declared the state of emergency. And we do this willingly and knowing that, he is the governor and knows what is best and has the advisors and, health officials and all those that he needs to make these important decisions. So as commissioners, I think I can speak for Brian and Mike. We don't blame him. We support him, and we will continue to do so and in order to help everyone here in our county, in our state, to get through this.
Agreed. Anything else?
That's all that's on there.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Are we okay to adjourn, or do you want to?
I don't know, we may need to keep the meetings open in case something,
Okay, all right.
so why don't we just
Recess.
recess?
Recess? Motion to recess?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, did you make the motion, or did Mike?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Crabtree,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye. Thank you again. Stay well,
Yes.
Scioto County.